Drum roll, please.
And we're live.
We are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Buenos tardes, as they say down here in Mexico. This is the first afternoon coffee mastermind of 2014.
Yay!
So, good here. Susan Batchelder, partner in crime. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. I don't have coffee. It's a long story, but yeah, there's no coffee. I do have horchata, though, so.
Well, that's good. I have coffee right here. It's out of my reach, though, so.
I was going to go get some. I didn't have any, and I was just been busy today. So, next, I'll have a big cup of coffee next year, or next week. So,
that sounds
all right.
Good.
Here's the thing. Interesting topic today, and kind of spurred by some recent things that have happened. And basically what the topic is overcoming challenges and obstacles, which is good because, you know, everybody gets in that kind of blissful state of goal setting, and they have this overly optimistic thing, and the goals are going to be there and stuff like that. And people tend to be, I'm not being negative, but let's be realistic. There are going to be things that pop up between now and the end of the year where you have your goals set that are going to derail you, challenge you, slow you down, distract you, whatever. And you have to have a plan in place to deal with those.
Exactly. I think, once again, how our topics always fall into place timely, and they always seem to just fit in with our past topics, and it just rolls in so ironically good. Almost like we planned it, but we didn't plan it.
Almost like we planned it. Or almost like we can take any topic and make it seem like it fits.
Brilliant. So we ended 2013 talking in depth about goal setting and having a plan to achieve those goals. And now we're starting 2014 with how to face obstacles. I couldn't have pre-planned it any better.
Right.
It's just brilliant. Now, even though the topic came up because of facing challenges and obstacles, it doesn't really matter. It's all good. And it's really important.
I said you got some challenges and obstacles that they didn't wait to pop up. They popped up like right away in 2014.
Yeah, like literally an hour and a half after midnight. So here we go. Let's run.
Well, let's deal with them. What do you? Obviously, there are different degrees of challenge. There are different degrees of obstacles. Okay, now, I guess, what would be your basic, when something comes up, whether it's serious or maybe not that serious, more distracting, what's your first, like, mental mechanism that you use to deal with these in a productive and efficient manner so they don't take you off the path for a long period of time?
Personally, the very first thing that I do, and what I really put out there and suggest people do, is ask yourself questions. So instead of getting almost like sinking into the funnel of the challenge or distraction or obstacle, just stop and have a look and ask yourself questions. Like, is this in my control? What part of this can I control? What is possible? Like, there's so many questions to ask, and as soon as you start asking questions, you're going to be setting yourself on the path to solution, resolution, overcoming immediately, rather than diving into like just seeing the challenge, obstacle, or difficulty. And so that's the very first thing. But I want to start the conversation a few steps backwards, before the obstacle shows up, and plan for it. So this is why it's really important, because each one of us will face these challenges, obstacles, and difficulties better if we've already prepared ourselves, because they're inevitable. Just like you started off with the introduction, we're all going to face challenges, difficulties, distractions, and obstacles in life, business, relationships, health, energy, all areas of our life. It's just
Absolutely.
inevitable.
No
It's going to happen. Yeah. So why not plan for it? Why not set our feet solid on the ground and be prepared with a stance that we are willing, ready, and able to face them? Part of that plan that I have is that other topic that we're going to talk about someday at length, and that's sustainable fulfillment. So that's setting yourself up to always be fulfilled. That sustainable fulfillment, and it's different for everybody, but if you are somewhat strong inside, happy, fulfilled, you have your joy and happiness in place, that is one of the biggest tools to have in your toolbox to face all of life's challenges and distractions and obstacles. So that's the first thing that I just like. I'm just put that seed out there, and then we'll talk about that some other day.
Yeah,
and then
no,
the other,
I think you're absolutely correct, because you have the first step is before the problem comes up. You have to be mentally prepared so that when something does come up, yeah, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's going to come up, but you have to be aware that things will come up, and you have to be mentally prepared to deal with them a certain way, because if you're not mentally prepared beforehand for whatever it is that shows up, then you'll find yourself, when the problem does occur, you'll find yourself getting wrapped up in the problem and not, distancing yourself with it, taking reasonable action to deal with it. You'll get caught up in it, and it's really going to take you off your game plan. But if you prep for it beforehand, then you know that you are prepared to deal with any eventuality, at least
exactly.
mentally.
Yeah. And I liken it to, because some people just need a visual. So this, I really like describing it as you're walking along on your path, and all of a sudden there's a brick wall there, and it's bigger than you. If you didn't plan on the possibility of the brick wall being there, then you don't have a toolbox in your hand with the tools to use to knock down that brick wall. And you haven't strengthened your muscles so that you're strong enough to use those tools. So that just kind of creates a real visual. So if beforehand you have tools in place that you can just open your toolbox and pull them out, just to give a visual, or strong enough muscles to use those tools and bash down that wall or climb over it or go around it, whatever the case is, then
Right.
When you come up to the brick wall, then you have to stop. You have to run around and search for what might help, and that will take way more time, energy, and distract you away from the solution. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like when I was fighting. You can't go into a fight and assume in a Muay Thai match that you're going to go all 3 rounds and not get punched.
Exactly.
You're going to get punched. Life is going to punch you. And if you realize that that is going to happen, oh, great. Hopefully you make it all 3 rounds without getting tagged. But guess what? You better be prepared for it.
Right. And did you, before a fight, you knew who your opponent was, so did you do some research even of how they fought?
When we were able, sometimes opponents would change at the last minute. People pull out.
But if it's possible, then that's one of the things you'd prepare?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you knew who you were fighting, you can get tape on them. You absolutely find out what their strong points were, what their weak points were, what their tendencies to do. When they get hit, what do? They back straight up? Do they cover up? How do they react? So you could put together a game plan that you think is going to work, but I don't know who it was. Who was it? Was it Tyson? Yeah, everybody's got a game plan until they get hit.
That's good. Yeah.
You do what you can, and it's still shocking, but it's the same thing like we're talking about. You can acknowledge yourself and prep yourself mentally for, okay, there's going to be something's going to happen, but when it does, you didn't know what it was, it's still going to catch you.
Yeah. And really, it's important for us to realize that all that we have in our control is ourselves.
All that we have, exactly. The way we react to it is the only thing that's completely under our control.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the point where the questions come in. How is this affecting me? What control do I have in this situation? What is possible? What can I do?
Yep. And that goes back to the question I originally asked you about what's the first thing that you do. First thing that I do in any given situation is try and put myself outside the situation so I can get an objective analysis of what's going on and what's the best way to handle it. Because, like I said, you can get caught up into it, and when you're in the middle of everything, it's easy to lose that objectivity. It's easy to react emotionally. It's easy to really let it take you off the path. So for me, the first thing I try and do is kind of distance myself from it. Take myself outside of it. Look at it like an outsider and be like, okay, well, it is what it is. What can I do to deal with it, from an outside point of view?
Exactly. And if it's something that has grabbed your emotion, like if it's something quite big that might feel catastrophic, at the time, literally, you might have to just take some time and literally put your hand on your heart and just breathe through it.
Yeah.
Take some time and then step out.
I agree. Either way, you have to keep your head on your shoulders. You can't lose it.
Yes, exactly. Well said. And that's it. That's all I got.
Well said. I didn't know where I was going with it.
Topic.
What?
Yeah.
What's that?
It is such a huge topic, and yet when you take it apart, it is really that simple.
It really is. And I think the tough thing, once again, to anybody listening to this, neither Susan or I are going to say dwell on all the negative possibilities that might happen. That's not what we're going with this. Remain positive. Look, keep your centered on your goal and keep going. But just understand, don't dwell on it. Don't fear it. Don't let it distract you in and of itself. But just understand that you are going to have to deal with some BS every now and then.
And one of the questions that I forgot to mention, so I'm glad that you just said what you said, because that reminded me, one of the questions that's really good to ask as you're facing it or afterwards is what lesson? What is the lesson in this? What is the possible lesson? And then afterwards, as you reflect back on it, what was the lesson? Like, what can I take away from going through that? Did I face it appropriately or well or the best that I could? Could I change it the next time or whatever the case is? Because there's always a lesson, and that's the positive side to every challenge.
No, there is. You're 100% correct, because if something like that happens, whether it's out of your control or you make a mistake or whatever it is, if you learn from it, then it was not all for naught.
Exactly.
Because that life experience is invaluable, and I'm only starting to realize that now at my advancing age. But as long, and I do that exact same thing too. It's funny that you brought that up, because especially after the dust settles and you've done what you can do, my whole focus is on what can I take from it.
Exactly, because if you focus on, oh, that was terrible, that's going to take you down a really not good path.
Right. Absolutely.
So, and that even goes to something simple like one of our earlier hangouts. We talked about messing up with your link when you're buying traffic for your online business. Like something as small as that can feel really huge at the time, but
Yeah.
so it's that or life, because when these challenges come up in life, then it interferes with your focus on work. So really, this conversation applies to every aspect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, these are, whether the challenges that arise are external or whether they're stuff that you cause, like you said, putting money into an ad campaign and realizing you put the wrong link. That could really defeat a lot of people. But if you learn to really be thorough when you're setting up said ad campaign in the future, and you don't do it again, when further on down the road, when instead of spending $100 or $200, you're spending $2,000 or $4,000.
Exactly. Remember the sting enough so that you take the lesson from it.
Yep. Exactly.
So, do you have anything else to add to wrap it up?
When we first talked about this subject, I thought it was going to be one of those monster hour and a half hangouts. But when you boil it down, just talking through it right there in what, about 20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's amazing how, if you take a breath, look at it, and then break it down. One thing I don't think we really mentioned is when you look at it and you analyze the problem that's going on, it's important to figure out what you can do about it and do it, and not let it. Sometimes there's just, there's certain aspects of it that you just simply cannot do anything about right now. For example, a while back I had something come up with my YouTube channel. It freaked me out, it pissed me off, but then I remembered to step back, and I'm like, you know what, I haven't done anything wrong. I appealed it, I went through the process, and then I had to realize that, okay, I've done everything that I could possibly do. There's no use to dwell on it right now. Go back to doing something constructive, some income-producing activity, and when the time comes that something else that I can do with it, then do it. But it's not doing any good to stress on it in the meantime. And within a week and a half, 2 weeks, they had reviewed it and everything was good. Obviously, I don't put any crap out of my YouTube channel that would cause it to get banned. It was just haters, people who are jealous, whatever, doing false flags. But the lesson is, it really threw me for a loop, because I was just starting to get into video and I hadn't done anything wrong. I'm like, who the hell is what? And I did exactly what we talked about. I kind of stepped back, stood out of it. I'm like, okay, this isn't the end of the world. It's frustrating, it's annoying, it is damaging, but it's not the end of the world. So I took a couple deep breaths, stepped out, looked at what I had to do, went through the process with YouTube to have them review my stuff and the videos in question. And after I did that, it was nothing but a waiting game. So I segmented that off and went on doing my other stuff. And, a week and a half, 2 weeks later, everything was okay, everything was good. I was in the clear because I was in the right. And then I got back onto business as usual. But if I kept going down the same path that I was going down when it first happened, I was so pissed and frustrated and angry, and it wasn't a productive state of mind. I wasn't in a productive state. But I managed to compartmentalize it and go on and do other stuff. I could still blog, I could still record videos, I could still market, I could still do all those other things I needed to do in my online business while I was waiting for him to review my channel.
Exactly.
So, just keep that in mind. Whatever may happen. It really seemed like a big deal, and then realize that, 6 months later, 12 months later, you're looking back on it, it's probably not going to be that big a deal.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
And then, I guess kind of on that same angle, another kind of tip or thing to remember is take note of the influence of your outside suggestions or whatever, what to do with it. Like for example, let's use the YouTube example. And if you're wondering what to do about, you'll have 10 different people telling you 10 different things of what to do about. So you have to really, evaluate each suggestion or whatever, or idea, and see
and consider the source.
Yes. Yeah.
If the person giving you the advice doesn't even have, in this case, doesn't even have a YouTube channel, then just you can pretty much discount whatever they have to say.
Yeah. So always consider the source. Yeah. Because if you're feeling kind of scrambled or quite distracted with whatever the challenge is, you might just take, the first couple suggestions.
Yeah.
Feeling that desperation to face it, you might just take them, but stop and think about it first and see if it would work for your situation or whatever the case is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like if your site drops off the first page of Google or something, that can be pretty traumatic, and your leads stop coming in and blah blah blah. Unless somebody has actually been in the position and restored their positions, don't take SEO advice from somebody who doesn't even have a website.
Exactly. Like my YouTube, when that happened to mine, I guess that was about a year ago. There was a whole bunch of suggestions because it was happening to a lot of people around that time.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I ignored all of them, and I just stopped even going into that YouTube. I sent in my appeal, and then I just stopped trying to be active on that channel, started a completely separate channel, and just left it alone. And it never did get completely shut down and everything taken off. All they did was flag it, and I wasn't allowed to upload anymore. So my YouTube videos, when other people clicked on them, they were still watchable, and it didn't interrupt too much. So I don't know if that was the right thing, but it sure was smooth for me, and I didn't worry about it.
Right. Yeah, that would have been good.
I just restarted another channel, and now it's happening to me again, except for they picked 3 channels. Whatever.
Some people are so freaking lost, and they've got nothing better to do. So,
yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. It's just one of those things you got to deal with, and it's frustrating right now, but it's all right.
That's right.
It's all right, and you've been through it before, so you take the steps you need to take.
Yeah.
Handle it. I actually probably need to set up another YouTube channel or 2.
3. 3 actually.
Maybe 4. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Now, do you load all your videos on all the channels?
No.
No? Okay.
They're just keyword and topic specific. Like each channel has a plan.
Okay.
I'm such a non-planner. I'm such a. Everything is so unplanned that I would have no plan.
Well, we'll talk about that maybe in a future like advanced video marketing chat. So, all right. Well, I've got nothing else. You?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well then, next Saturday, right around 3 or 4. We haven't figured out the exact time yet, but around 3 or 4 Central Time.
Eastern.
Eastern?
Yeah. No, Central. What am I talking about? Whatever. You just
don't
talking.
know. I'm in Mexico. I don't know these. I'm in Mexico. I don't know U.S. time zones anymore. So either way, next Saturday, right around 3 or 4 Central, we'll be doing a special Saturday afternoon coffee mastermind. I'm not even going to tell you what it's all about. I'm just saying that it's going to be there. We're going to promote it on our Googles, our Facebook pages, everything else like that for at least a couple hours beforehand. So keep an eye out, and we'll talk to everybody real soon.
Leave your feedback below.
Feedback below. Want to join up with us? Get with it. Below.
Yeah.
Right below this video. It almost looked like I was doing kind of something weird on camera there for a second. All right. That's it. This is going downhill.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.